Kia ora everyone, Daz here from the Good Day Matrix. Today we talk to the amazing Miria Flavell. She's a mother of two and an absolute wāhine on a mission. And once you know and understand the mission that she's on, you can understand how she's built such an amazing, engaged, authentic community around all the mahi that she's doing. From performing arts to film and television school to being a makeup artist to being an entrepreneur, Miria is the very proud owner and founder of the very first Māori Activewear brand, Hine. She's incredibly passionate about te ao Māori and ensuring that it flows through everything that she does within her journey. Today, some of the key points were that you need to be listening to your gut and you need to have a trusted crew that you can go to talk to help you make some really big decisions. You need to know who you are and you need to understand your point of difference in the world. And you also need to follow your passions. Let's get into it. Well, thank you so much for having us in your beautiful whare here, Miria. I've just been commenting, it's just so gorgeous. It is such a sanctuary, so I can imagine coming here in the afternoons and just chilling out. It'd be so nice after work. Yeah. So we're going to talk about wellbeing, and so our first question really is take us back to Rotorua and how that journey from Rotorua has shaped you to this person that you are today and running Hine.
Rotorua. Well, actually before Rotorua we kind of moved around a lot because of my dad and the roles that he played in his life, in his career, I should say. But there was a bit of a calling, I think, for my dad to go back to Rotorua because that's where the homestead is. So my great-great-grandmother, the road is actually named after her, Ranginui Street. There's so much importance in that area, on that land, for my whānau, and I knew that my dad always wanted to go back there, and so that's been home ever since. So we moved there when I was, I'm gonna say 9 or 10, one of those. And when people say, what do I do when I need that break, that time for myself, whatever it may be, it's always going back there, going back home. So yeah, growing up in Rotorua, that's where everything kind of started for me. I think if we look at, there's lots of things coming to mind, but I think growing up, obviously te reo Māori was everything for us. That was our first language. We went to kura kaupapa Māori, and then for me, I wanted something a bit different. I had a love for sports. I had a love for performing arts, for media studies, all these sorts of things. And so for me, begged my parents to let me go to Girls High, Rotorua Girls High, just so that I could kind of explore these different things that I was really keen on. And thank God for my parents that they did listen to me when I had my wants and needs, and really kind of backed me and supported me in whatever it is that I wanted to do. And so I went to Rotorua Girls High in my schooling years, and you know, when people ask me about leadership and how that started, it would have been at Girls High when I was one of the house captains and prefects and had to kind of learn how to become a leader. And even to this day I'm still learning how to be a leader, but it all started back in Rotorua, back home for me. Yeah.
Amazing. And I love that te reo Māori was your first language, and I think we're now coming into a generation where that's going to be more, it's not going to be such a shock, not a shock, but it's going to be normal, so much more normal, and it should be, that we've got a new generation coming through where, I think that's fantastic. But talk to us about how that te reo Māori really and te ao Māori helps to influence how you make decisions as you move through, because you've had to make a lot of really key, massive decisions in your life.
Well, for me, te reo Māori, but also being immersed in te ao Māori my whole life, it gave me a sense of who I am, my identity. I think without that, I don't know who I would be, where I would be. And so very lucky for what our parents kind of raised us with, which was te reo Māori was everything, it was important. And the thing is that that's how I am as a mother now, and so te reo Māori is our first language in this home. I want my kids to always know how important te reo Māori is for them, and so they know who they are, where they come from, their culture, all the beautiful things about being Māori. And in terms of me as a business owner, or how I carry myself in my adult life, you know, my dad always said to me, what are you doing to give back to your people? And that always stuck with me. And so with everything that I do with my business, with Hine, it's about, okay, with this brand, what can I do to either empower our people or encourage our people, and obviously health, hauora. And I know like that's one of the massive, that's a massive drive for me, is to not only provide this clothing brand to them, but actually encouraging them to take better care of their health, better care of their fitness. I'm seeing so many of our people getting sick, have lost a few people from being sick. And so I just really want to encourage them to use it and actually take care of themselves.
Massive opportunities also to like collab, with health industries as well, and just help encourage that conversation and help encourage action to whatever that looks like for each person. Very, very cool. And you've built an incredibly inclusive community with Hine, and sitting back and watching that grow and seeing just the movement that's come from that, and seeing how important representation has been in there, and that's not just on body size, that's in every single human that's become a part of this movement with you. So how important, how critical has that been in terms of building the community for Hine, but also building the brand, I guess, and as you're taking that internationally, how you do that, how important that's been to build the community?
Well, hands down, I can say that if there was no community behind us, we wouldn't be still alive today. Because building any business is hard, but I think because our community, our customers, our supporters, they have been the voices or the advocates for Hine Collection, that I've kind of just had to be, I've just been focusing on building this brand and creating good quality products. But our community have been like just, the real, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Advocates?
Advocates, voices, everything. I'm really lucky to have that community behind us. But then you look at what we're trying to achieve now, going global, it's a totally different story. It's kind of starting from scratch, but maybe we can talk about that a bit later. But I'm kind of learning how to take the same kaupapa that we have built here over to, and we do have a lot of women over in America, in the UK, Hawaii, Australia. And at this point in time, I'm figuring out why and how and why they have been drawn to our brand, so that I can figure out how we can take this to many other women across the world. But community is definitely important. I don't even know if that was your question to start with.
No, that totally is.
Okay, cool.
And when they're giving you the feedback, and I imagine you get daily, your DMs must be massive anyway, but how often do you get those kind of stories where someone feels seen and somebody feels connected to what's going on here? So not even necessarily the brand, but the people that are within it. Are they telling you like that this has made a difference for me, that this is somewhere that I feel really comfortable, or how is...
So to this day, we still get messages daily from women that will tell us about their story, about when they first found Hine Collection, when they first started their health and fitness journey, they were a size, let's just say 5XL, and then now they're a size 2XL, and Hine was on that journey with them right from the beginning to today. And it's cool because I know that it kind of uplifts my whole team, because they'll screenshot it, because obviously I'm not always in the Hine DMs, and they'll screenshot it and send it to me, and or even into our group chat, and we all just it just makes us kind of stop and go, holy heck, like this is what we're doing behind the scenes for people. And I think that's what makes us keeps us motivated or driven, because then we're like, okay, if we can do it for this person, just imagine how many other women we can do that for. So it kind of keeps us focused. It keeps us motivated for sure.
Amazing. And it keeps those people connected, the wider community connected to everything that you're doing. So when there's a new initiative or anything, that is going to be there because it's all interwoven. Everybody's
and I think everything we try and do, it's always based off like customer feedback, our community's feedback. We get a lot of it. And it was something that I had to learn really quickly, was that like I know for a fact that there's no way I can please every single woman on this planet, or in Aotearoa. But I have to just try my absolute best to cater to as many women as possible. But feedback is key when it comes to business. It's the only way that we were able to grow or get better and get better quality fabrics, or even being able to cater the particular products to different kind of body shapes, which we're still learning. But I think one key bit of feedback that we've kind of received is how like a lot of brands, they say that they're plus size or they'll add a size, but it doesn't actually cater to that particular body. They just kind of add a few more inches or, a few more centimeters and say it's plus size. But, a lot of feedback that we've gotten is that, you're actually putting in the effort to make sure it does actually cater to those body shapes. And so that kind of messaging always sticks in my head, because then I know, okay, we're getting there, we're on the right track, and then, still trying to improve as we go.
Yeah. There's something I say to a lot of leaders, because often as a leader you try and do everything for everyone, and you try and make sure your team are happy and the community you serve are happy, and you really spread yourself quite thin. And whether that's like wellbeing stuff and that's team outings, whatever, and we try and do fair pay and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, you there will be something you've missed. And unfortunately, that's often the thing that people will hold on to, and it won't be like, wow, they did these amazing things and thought about this, but I don't know, the band might be wrong, or they didn't have this kind of model, or whatever it is, and that'll be the thing they hold on to. So I try and remind people of that, like don't take just that little piece of feedback, because often they don't share all the amazing stuff.
It's hard not to. I'll admit that. Yeah. It is hard not to. But like I always say, you just can only do your best. And if you feel 100% confident that you are doing your best, and that's all that matters. But obviously that's taken me a lot of years to get to that point. Yeah. Before, I'll just be so obsessed with getting things right. Yeah. And then that's when you start losing the passion for your business. You start, burnout, you start getting a bit depressed, because you're like, oh my gosh, people are still moaning about this and that. But just like anything, is that you just cannot please everyone, but as long as you do your best.
I keep bringing Ruby Tui up, sorry Ruby if you ever hear this, but in her book she talked also about the fact that when she walks off a rugby field, as long as she can hand on heart say to herself, 100%. I gave everything, I did all the right training, I've done all this, I listened to the right people, I got on the field, and if I went below the line I pulled myself back up, so I stayed above, then she can walk off regardless of score. And that's the same for you.
And you're always gonna, and you're always gonna have critics no matter what. Yeah. But it's just whether you choose to listen to them or not. That's on you. And
control your controllables. Yeah, 100%. So you touched on it earlier. So you were really passionate about performing arts, and so sort of talk to us a little bit more about that journey, and then that initial decision. Well, you had an initial idea, and then moving that into this massive decision to take on a very, very massive project. So talk to us about that. Talk to us about that little journey.
Well, anyone that knows me from high school know hands down that I wanted to be an actress. Like, I wanted to be either a presenter or an actress. That was like my dream. And even to the point where I said to my parents, like, one day I'm going to get up in Hollywood and I'm going to do a thank you speech to you guys for supporting me. Because my mum would send me to acting like camps and everything, like down in South Island. And like looking back and knowing how expensive that would have been to send me there, that's how much they like supported me in everything that I did. And so I did performing arts at school, did all these kind of like plays, theatres and things like that. And then leaving school, I went straight to film school. I came to Waikato to do a media studies paper. Didn't like it. I was like, I want to be hands-on. I want to do all the practical things. And so I found a film school in Auckland, went there for a year, and then went straight into TV. So I worked in TV for 7 years. Wow. So I worked in the production. I did some things in front of the camera, but I actually found the love for behind the camera. And then I became obsessed with makeup artistry, and I used to hang around backstage with the makeup artists, watching them put the makeup on the presenters. And I said to she was a head makeup artist at the time, Kelly, and I said to her, can you please teach me? I just honestly just want to learn. I don't know what it is, but I'm fascinated by this. And so I went and did a course. So it's kind of like this weird, circle of things that I did. But then I studied makeup, and then I became a makeup artist and worked in the TV industry doing makeup, and then became a mum. And that was when I knew I didn't want to keep working in the industry. It was too hard trying to balance the two. I wanted to be present with my kids. And so I became a self-employed makeup artist at home and would do people on the weekends and for weddings or special occasions. Yeah. And then YouTube was really big back then. And so when I would go on YouTube to watch YouTubers, I never saw a Māori girl or a brown face or anyone, there were no Māori on YouTube, and I thought, man, it'd be quite cool if I started doing some makeup tutorials. And that's kind of like where social media started for me, and I would film makeup tutorials. I did some in te reo Māori, so people were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, like seeing a girl, you know, seeing a tutorial, because let me tell you, YouTube was very big back then, and so for them seeing someone doing a makeup tutorial in te reo Māori was so different, and so like I kind of like started using social media a bit, and then that's when Hine started coming, became an idea. I was sick and tired of seeing the same body shape all over social media. Brands would reach out to me to do promotions for them, and I noticed that they would only show one particular body shape that didn't even look like me, and so I had started my own health and fitness journey then as well, and then it was just a lot of frustration, like me trying to find activewear clothing that and there was nothing, couldn't find anything that was past size 12 medium, and I was between like a large and an extra large. So the frustration of that, the frustration of seeing the same kind of body image all over social media, and then this one day I just thought, I don't know, I'm going to start a clothing brand. Absolutely no experience. I don't know what the heck I was even thinking at the time. I remember like walking out and telling my mum about it, and it was funny. She was just like, oh my gosh, like here's another dream of hers. What is, you know, but she actually got fully behind me and supported me. She helped me choose the name. And then that's how Hine started. So it's a random story, but it kind of like, I don't think if I didn't go do TV, if I didn't do makeup, if I didn't get into those tutorials, then I don't know if it would have happened. So
I'm not surprised your mum jumped in on that, because she's showing like, you know, sending you down south to those acting things like that doesn't come as any surprise that she'd be like, cool, this is the thing we're doing now, we're on. No, that's my mum and my dad as well, but he was always so busy, but you know, he always supported us in whatever we're doing. I remember it was like my 16th, no, not my 16th, it would have been like, so when did I do makeup? Whenever that was, whatever year it was. And for my birthday, she walked in, and because, you know, I didn't have money at the time, and she walked in and she had this like big makeup case, the ones with the 3 layers. She was like, happy birthday. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so funny, but so cool. So that's how much she just like supported everything. And to be fair, like you spoke about, it feels like this kind of journey, but it actually shows the stepping blocks to getting there.
I see them as stepping blocks.
But also there's such, for anyone watching this who doesn't think to take that step, you know, like follow passions and see what happens. Like if you're passionate about TV, you know, that led you to makeup, and that led you to do the next things. Like all those things matter. It's often when we don't try something or don't even research it or explore it, like that just sort of fizzles out and dies. Like give it a shot. There's nothing to lose by.
I think that's why so many people don't you know, follow their passion, or whether it is starting a business, is because like I can even say that when I started researching on how to create an activewear brand, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is way out of my league. It was scary. I knew how much money we would have to put into it, and I don't know, it's hard looking back at how or what gave me that push to actually do it, but I think because I knew that I needed to do it because something needed to change within the industry, but also, you know, even having my daughter, like I knew that like I had to do something to change how it was for women, so that when she was older, it wasn't the same thing for her. I explained that such a wrong way, like, but and sorry. I was like, that didn't even make sense media, but that's okay.
It totally made sense.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was saying now.
You're the ancestor, you know, that our great-great-grandchildren will be so grateful was in the world, you know? Like, what you're doing now with Hine is it still feels massive now, but it will be a small blip to what it will have done in the next, like, 100 years for women, you know? And your great-grandkids are going to be like, that was my nan. She started that, you know? Like, it's for your daughter, you know, she's going to be so proud to be like, my mum started that. Like, my mum started these conversations.
Well, I think it was just crazy because I knew that, like, because it was brands that I really wanted to wear to start my health and fitness journey. I had to have surgery because of my poor health. And so I needed to start my journey. And I remember I was like, oh, I want to get activewear just to start. And I know, like, for so many women, you want to like look good, feel good when you go to the gym, especially when you're first starting. And the fact that these big brands didn't hold anything for me, I was just thinking to myself, because like all my friends around the same were, like if I look back, were around the same size as me, and I was just thinking like, just imagine how many women have to go through this. Yeah. And you know, like the average size in New Zealand is a size large, extra large. And so I knew it was a massive problem. And the fact that no one had actually done it before actually blows my mind. But the cool thing, if I can't go to this present day, the cool thing is that a lot of brands are starting to do better. A lot of brands are starting to be more inclusive, which is amazing. I think more can be done. But, you know, we've come a way since 5 years ago.
Yeah. I was reading a book a while ago and it had Bono in it. Random segue, but he talked about when the U2 band first started, they weren't very good singers. They could play their instruments, but not like some of the bands that were around at the time. But his thing was, they may have everything, but we've got it. And because they were passionate about people, they wanted to change the world. They wanted their words to mean something when it went out there. So it's really similar to you. And you've taken on an industry that has giants, you know, and you just have to go watch, you know, Air and that to see the kind of inner workings of Nike and Adidas and all these different brands. And it's no put down too many brands, but, you know, it's a ginormous industry, and you've put yourself in there and you've gone, we can make a change here, we can do some good. So talk to us about the mindset of doing that, because it could come into this sort of grind of one-upping or trying to be better than, but instead I'm imagining that you're just trying to be Hine and you're trying to leave your mark and not sort of... So what's that like, and what kind of mindset is that to be in such a competitive industry but really concentrate or focus on what you're trying to do?
Yeah, well, I won't say it hasn't been easy. It's definitely been hard because you're up against like massive brands that have a lot of money, but I think right from the beginning, I always knew that we had a point of difference from everyone else. And I think like, and sometimes I go off track, like my focus goes off track and I'm like, oh, we have to do it like them. We have to do it like this brand or whatever. Look, they're doing those types of leggings. Let's do that. But like for me, I have to just keep focused and remember that we are so different from everyone else. We have our point of difference. We have our purpose and our mission. And so every single time that I do get a bit, off track, like it's actually our community, but also my staff that kind of bring me back and go, remember, this is what we're achieving and this is where we can take this, this company. But, like this is just a few examples, but I think for us, it's been hard because when you try and grow your business and you try and take it to the next level, you're going to have many people telling you different things, how you should do things, and how you should change things. And I know that like in the past, I've had people tell me to change the name if I want to take it further and things like that. And I thank God for my dad that like pushed or instilled in me and pushed it to me that to always like stand up for what I believe is right and always like listen to my gut, trust my instincts, all of those things. And I said like, no. We're gonna stick to stick to our name, stick to our same kaupapa, and I'm never changing for anyone. And I'm so glad I listened to myself back then, and I kind of listened to my own voice, because this was a room full of people that actually gave me that advice. And that was about three years ago, and so it has been hard. It has been really, really hard. Yeah,
it's when we first started out. However many years ago on our journey, we were building an app and it was a big deal, and we were working with a PR team who shall remain nameless, and they were like, basically, Daz, you need to change how you talk, you need to change when you get in front of the cameras, how you act, the language that comes out, and all of the stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, because they know what they're doing. And I didn't have this level of confidence that I needed to be like, hold on a minute, we've gotten this far because of who I am, because we've built a community around people who can spin a yarn and be themselves and not try and fit into any other type of box and just authentically be. But I watch the interviews now and I still cringe. I'm like, oh God, because you can see me trying to process faster the language I should use or don't use that word, and you can also see if I have used a word and I know they've told me, that's not how we talk, you can see me go, oh shit, shouldn't have said that. And it's so
I can
sad
understand
now.
it though.
Yeah.
And there is pressure,
Yeah.
and it makes you think, oh, okay, maybe I need to be a certain way. Maybe I need my business needs to be a certain way to fit in, you know. And like even to this day with this, we're trying to obviously grow overseas and expand into different markets. And I've been told by some people, don't say that you're Indigenous, like maybe just leave that part out, leave out that you're a Māori brand. What's another one? Maybe don't stock all your sizes because it's a bit too much, you know, and just things like that. Like seriously, those are the sorts of things that people have said to me. And I think that takes it away, all of those sorts of messages take it away from everything that we've stood for or kind of like as a brand advocated for the last 5 years. So I'm like, without all of that, we're nothing. Yeah. And so just sticking true to, you know, who we are and what we represent.
And probably, I imagine, forgive me if I'm wrong, that, I mean, with your mum and dad are two prime examples, but you've probably surrounded yourself now with people also who understand who you guys are, what you're trying to achieve, the vision, the mission. So when you do need to make some of those possibly critical decisions, you actually go, those are the voices you listen to, not someone who's just looked at it and who is, you know, yes. So the thing with me is that with the app that we were building, my parents had given me money and we had an investor, and so I was like, well, I need to do, and my family had remortgaged the house I don't know how many times, you know, and you're like, I have to make it work. So if that's the thing that's going to do it, and you're the same, you know, you've had to make a decision, go, right, we're going to outlay this money at the start, yep, this is a big deal, but we can do it. And then someone tells you it'll be more successful if you do it this way. So you're like, well, that's what I need, because so many people are involved, and I've got people whose jobs are on the line and all of this kind of stuff, but actually what's gotten you this far has worked for a reason. And so it's
your point of difference.
Having those people who aren't just your yes men, but people who understand who you are, what you're trying to achieve, what's worked so far. I think those voices in your corner are so important to not listen to, because like we said right at the start, everyone has an opinion on something, right? And they're never going to see it how you see it. So but
all it takes is for you to find those people that will say to you, actually no, you need to like scream it loud and proud that you're an Indigenous brand. You need to scream it loud and proud that you're a size inclusive brand, that you're Māori. Those are like the most awesome key points about your brand. And so I was like, yes. And this is from Americans themselves. So, you know, for some people from here, from New Zealand, to say, don't do this, don't do that. And then you've got people in America that are embracing you like that. It's just awesome. And then it just reminds you like, yeah, hell yeah, it's awesome what we do. And that's our point of difference.
Yeah. So how do you, again, this is coming down to decision making a bit, but also, you know, you have so much to focus on. You have so many balls in the air, for want of a better way of saying it, from being a mum to being a business owner and just trying to push this growth as well. So how do you choose where you put your focus and your energy?
If I had the magic answer for that, I would be able to tell you. But honestly, like finding the balance has been probably the hardest thing for me in the last 5 years, but luckily now I have a really good, strong team. Like I was telling you before, there's a photo shoot happening right now, but I know that my team will take care of it. And so I think without a solid team that really have your back, are passionate about the business as much as you are, like if I didn't have that, I think I would just absolutely struggle. So yeah, that's probably my best answer, is that just having the right team to support you. Yeah,
it becomes a non-negotiable way where you just like...
Yeah, and it means that I can finish at 2:30 to go pick up the kids. It can mean that I can drop them off in the mornings. If they've got something on at school, it means that I can take the day off to go and watch them. But obviously I'm very grateful, because I know a lot of mums don't have that freedom to do that. So, but you know, it's taken 5 years to get to that point.
Yeah. And so
a lot of sacrifices have had to be made.
Sorry, I cut you off. We talked about your sanctuary being here before, but what sort of things do you do for your own well-being? What do you know, it could be for your body, for your mind, for where you connect to in the community, for your own well-being with such a full plate. What are some of the things that you do for you?
Apart from just being here at home, like I said before, going home, back to my parents, back to not just there, but also Taranaki. That's where my mum's from. Like that's home as well. Those two, if I go back to those two places for me, I come back a different person, like as in a good way. Like I kind of have time to really reflect and think about what's been going on. It gives me a time to just chill and kind of just be like, okay, you know, you're all good. you're fine. You've got your whānau around you, just those little reminders. But in terms of here in Hamilton, every day is going to the gym. If I don't go to the gym, then that's a problem, because training has always been my outlet. And so, I have to make time to go. It's like a non-negotiable for me. Other than that, I'm just pretty boring. I love being home with my kids, love being home with my whānau. And if I'm lucky, like my favorite thing to do is get a massage. Absolute favorite thing. Yeah.
And so I'm going to dig into this a little bit, because so many people, we want to go to the gym and they put it on the list, but it's the first thing that falls off when, anything goes wrong. The kids might be sick or whatever's going on. So how do you, if that's a real non-negotiable, do you have like a set routine to get you there? Or is it just, oh, well, it's 9 o'clock, I have to go at 9 o'clock at night, if that's when it's going to get in? Like, how do you...
Well, if the kids are sick, that's a different story. I just, obviously the priority. It just means I'll be grumpy later, but that's all right. But my non-negotiable, so how it works is that my kids have been around it since they were born. And so luckily for me, my sister owns a gym. And so I take them with me I go 5:30 every night, and they come with me, and they're just so used to it. It's kind of like just normal. It's a normal schedule, I should say, for them as well. So
that's cool.
I'm pretty lucky in that sense. I know a lot of people don't have that.
No, and that's what netball whānau was like for us when we, once we'd finished school, was we'd have mums in the team. You'd have training at 5 or 6 o'clock, and all the kids would be along the sideline.
It's like our
chucking
gym.
a ball, but it was so, you can see how much fun they were having. Like, it's just builds that other community, and everyone's watching out for everyone's kids, and it's cool.
Just like when we're training, all the kids are running outside, but it's awesome. And like obviously my kids get people, the kids, and it's just like one big family, which I love. It's all about community, so it's good.
That's like the theme of our entire conversation, is community today. All right, I have some quick fire questions for you. So, if you could have dinner with any 3 people in the world, and they can be past or current, who would they be?
Beyonce, first and foremost. Probably my grandmother, just pictured over there. That's my dad's, so that's my namesake. And that's my dad's mother, and I honestly wish I got the chance to meet her, and I feel like I'd probably be a different person if I got to meet her. I never had a grandmother growing up. They both passed before I was born. But I think if I met her, I think life would be definitely different. Third person, Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah?
I'd ask him to invest in it. He's amazing. I love Tony Robbins.
Do a pitch while you've got him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I love that. What is your favourite smell?
Favourite smell would be my dad's Rewana bread cooking. Reminds me of home. Yeah.
Nice. I've just gone back to your first question, which is how good would it be with your nan with Beyonce having a boogie? How good would that be?
Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. Oh my gosh, that would be.
That would be priceless.
With a whiskey, her whiskey.
Yeah. There you go. What song is currently on repeat on your playlist?
It would be some song that my kids always choose and play in the mornings. But just before you guys came, I was listening to a new Tori Kelly song, and I'm obsessed with it. Oh, she's amazing. Tori Kelly, yeah.
The soul in her voice, man, is...
She's so underrated.
Yeah.
I actually just posted about her on my Instagram. She's really underrated. She has a new song called Missing You, and I just loved it. Yeah.
Right. I'll add it to mine. What are 3 of your favourite books?
Oh, gosh.
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. I honestly don't read much. If I was to read anything, it would be like through podcasts or audiobooks. Yeah. But there was one book, and what is it called? It has Y in it. Does anyone know what it is?
Oh, Simon Sinek?
Yes. I love that book. Yeah, start with Y. I loved that book. It kind of, there was a part there in business or part there in my journey where I didn't go to work for, I'd say, a week or 2, just because I was in a really bad place. And my accountant actually gave me that book, and he said, just read this, and that changed everything for me. Yeah. So if you find that book, start with why.
Yeah.
I love that book.
And even listen to, he's got a little, it's not a TED talk, I think it's just a YouTube clip, but I'm talking about it, and he draws the circle, and it's
that was a game changer
very,
for me.
Helpful. This might fit into it. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Read this book.
Well, if I'm thinking about that book, he talks about he talks about many different things, but I think for me as a leader in the business is that, like, if you're let's just say, I'm going to say in the most simple way, if you hate your business and you're not passionate about it, it's going to trickle down to everyone in your business. And so it was about like bringing everyone on the journey with me, and also like, yeah, just leading from the front, all those sorts of things. I'm not going to say that's the best advice, but they're just talking about that book. But if I think about growing up, what was the best advice? It would be the one that my dad gave me about staying true to who I am, and to always trust my voice, trust my gut when it's trying to tell me something, because it's how I've made the decisions in the last 5 years of having Hine, is that I've always just like, you know, from all the things that people have tried to tell me to do or to change and all that, I always listened to the voice that I had inside of me and just trusted that voice. And that's led me, to where we are today. And so that's probably honestly the best advice I've been given. It's for my parents, yeah.
Honestly, parents, underrated advice
They
that comes out of them.
And it's funny because like a lot of people in life give you advice, right? But it's always your parents that you're like, whatever you're saying to me right now is I know is right and is true, so I'm going to listen to that. Especially our mums, you just listen to everything they say.
Know.
They know everything.
When we were teenagers, like, you don't know. We're like, oh, you know.
Even with my daughter now, and I'm like, yeah, one day you're going to remember what I just told you.
Where or what is your favourite hidden gem in Aotearoa?
I'd say Mount Cook, Maunga Aoraki. That's probably it's not a hidden gem, but that's probably the one place I've visited in New Zealand where I was just like, so beautiful, like breathtaking. And it's not like, probably only overseas I've been like, oh my gosh, but that I loved. And you've got to hike to get there, but it's a great hike.
All right, I add it to the list. What are some qualities that you love about yourself?
Probably like my loyalty. I don't know if that's a quality. Is that a quality? Oh, I don't know. Because I think that's why I'm really lucky with the team that I have. Is like I've got the same people that have been there from the start with me that are still with me today. So I love that about me, is that I'm very, it's like probably an issue that I have, is that if I've found you and we've connected, then I'm like bringing you along on the journey with me. But definitely that, and probably just my love for like I'm looking at that photo, probably just my love for my family is definitely a big quality. And that's what I'm trying to like, you know, push down to my kids, is the importance of whānau. And like we were talking about before, being Māori.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much. This has been such a great kōrero, and there's so many great takeaways, but I think listening to yourself and trusting your voice, but also knowing what voices to listen to that are around you, is a really, really important thing for people to take away. And knowing what your non-negotiables are, knowing, you know, when you're in a room and there's someone, you just know that it doesn't vibe, you know, being able to trust the fact that their opinion doesn't matter in this situation is really, really important. Whether you're a business owner, a mum, anything, it's just knowing that your gut tells you things for a reason. And
100%. 100%.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
us here, and
thank you.
we will see you again next time. Ka kite.